Howdy again, folks. Here we go again. Another product review, even though I'm not big on these, but I do like ones that support RV lifestyles. And this is one I think is perfect. I like bread. I like fresh bread. I don't like stale bread. I got the solution for you. And this is a great product. It's a bread maker. I'm not a baker, but I can even bake with this. Check it out. Okay, folks, this is an Oster bread maker, and I think it's perfect for RVing, especially if you're out boondocking and you're not near a store and you like fresh bread. It has a lot of features, it's simple to use, and let's go through it, have a look at it. Okay, so the first thing to notice is it's got a lid here, and you lift that up, and inside you've got a container that is removable. That's this little guy, and inside it, it's got this little paddle for kneading your dough. So you just fit that in here, take this out, and this is what you're going to mix your bread in before you use the bread maker to finish it. So that just slides right back in. Make sure you line up the tabs and you just push it in. You've got a little window up here so that you can see your bread as it's being made. It's really cool. So this is your control panel. And here you've got some options. You've got a select button here, which basically selects what kind of bread you're going to make. So you got basic, you got French, sweet bread, express bake, which only takes 58 minutes. Another one for a different recipe that takes 80 minutes. Normally it will take between 3 and 4 hours to cook or to bake a loaf of bread. You've got whole wheat, and then you can make dough and pasta. You can also bake in here. Then you pick your crust color, light, medium, or dark. And then you've got your start button, and you can just push it and it starts. And it does everything. It goes from kneading the dough right to a finished loaf of bread. But you can also set a timer on it. So if you don't want to cook the bread for a couple hours, you can set that up for a couple hours from now and hit start, and it will start the bread in a couple hours. Cool feature. Okay, so we're going to make a French loaf today with a medium crust. It's one of my favorites. So I've got the container, I've got the little paddle in there, and now I'm just going to put the ingredients in. And the important thing when making bread is you put the wet ingredients in first. So we're making a French loaf here. So we're going to put in 1 3/8 cups of water, and then a tablespoon and a half of either olive oil or vegetable oil. Okay, now we can go ahead and put the dry ingredients in. So for the dry ingredients, you really only need 4, and they're really easy. I've got a package of active yeast, that's critical. I've got bread flour, and I'm going to need 4 cups of that. I've got plain white sugar, and I've got some salt. That's it. It's as simple as that. Okay, so the first of our dry ingredients to go in is 4 cups of flour. Okay, so that's the bread flour. Next up is a tablespoon of sugar, just plain white sugar. So we're going to take a tablespoon of that. We're going to throw that in. Simple, easy peasy. And then we're going to need 2 teaspoons of salt. So that's pretty easy to do. So throw that in. Okay. So now we have all our ingredients except the active dry yeast. And here's the key to making a good loaf of bread. We've got to add the yeast, but it's got to be it cannot touch the liquid ingredients. So you take your finger and you just burrow a little hole down into the middle of that. I don't know if you can see it very well. There, maybe that's a little better. Burrow a little hole into that, and then we're going to add the active yeast. Now, as it happens, you need 2 teaspoons of active yeast, and these little pouches are exactly 2 teaspoons. So we're just going to take that and we're going to pour it right into our little hole. That's it. Okay, we're ready. Now we're going to bake some bread. Okay, so now we just need to open the lid and put our ingredients container into the bread maker. So it's just a matter of lining up to the brackets that are there, pushing it in, closing the lid. Now we're ready to make our selections. Okay, so we're making a French loaf. So the first thing I'm going to do is select French loaf. So just hit the button, and the French comes up. Now I want to select my crust color, and I want a medium crust, which is a P. So I'm looking for the reading here that's going to say 2P. So that's a medium crust. And now all I've got to do is hit start. Now it does say it's going to take 3 hours and 50 minutes to make this loaf of bread, but that counts down, so you can come back and check at any time and see where you are in the status. So here we go. Now I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a pulsing going on. So let's do a close-up and you can see what it looks like. Okay, we're just looking down at the top and you can see the pulsing going on. It just does it all automatically, so it's going to mix up that dough and let it sit, and it's going to rise, and eventually it's going to turn on and bake. So how cool is that? So we'll come back and we'll check the bread and see how it's doing. Okay, so we're about 3 hours and 20 minutes into the bake. We've got about 30 minutes to go, and you can see it's coming along. It's almost done. Okay, the beeper just went. We've been baking for 3 hours and 50 minutes, and we have a loaf of French bread. And I just wish you could experience how good it smells in here. Oh, that looks good. So now be careful, put an oven mitt on. That thing is hot, but we're going to pull the pan out and set it aside. Now you want to be careful here because the pan is still hot. So don't burn yourself, but take a spatula and just loosen the bread from the pan. Just run a little spatula, metal or plastic, around the inside edge and loosen it off. And now the moment we've been waiting for. Again, be careful, the pan's hot, so use some oven mitts, but turn it over, give it a little shake, and that loaf of bread will just pop right out. Voila, French bread. Does it get any better? It's so easy. You're going to love it, especially in RV living. So would I recommend this in an RV? Absolutely. I think it's absolutely worth the convenience and the simplicity of making fresh bread, and that is a pleasure unto itself. Yes, it does take up a little bit of room, but I think it's totally worth it. 2 thumbs up from my book. So as always, folks, enjoy, have fun, be awesome, and smile.